There's something the world never tells you about Scorpio. While most people chase love, power, money, or peace, Scorpio chases something far more dangerous and far more sacred: truth. But here's the secret very few dare to say aloud. The universe does not reward Scorpio for simply surviving. It waits, watches, and only delivers the true gifts when Scorpio has transformed from the ashes, from the betrayal, from the silence. You see, Scorpio's path isn't one of comfort, it's a spiritual battlefield. And unlike other signs that get their blessings in pretty packages, Scorpio receives them after a spiritual storm. When the soul has been cracked open, the ego burned down, and the heart exposed. Because that's when the universe whispers, now you're ready. Ready for the truth, ready for the power, ready for the love you always thought was impossible, but you had to be broken open first. Scorpio is the phoenix, but not every phoenix rises. Some stay in the ashes forever, blaming the fire. Others become the fire. And the ones who do, the universe sends them gifts that no one else could ever understand. But here's the twist. Those gifts never come too early. Never when you demand them, only when your soul is aligned. And if you miss the moment, the opportunity fades like smoke. So today, I'm going to take you deep into the 6 mystical moments when the universe chooses to bless a Scorpio. Not because they begged, not because they were perfect, but because they were finally ready. And by the end of this video, you might realize that one of those gifts was already sent to you. You just didn't see it yet. Stay until the end, not just to understand what these moments mean, but to uncover what kind of Scorpio you've become. The one still resisting the fire, or the one who now commands it. Moment 1, the gift after letting go of a toxic bond. It begins quietly, not with a scream, not with a fight, but with a slow erosion of your energy, your spirit, your identity. That's what a toxic bond does to a Scorpio. Because Scorpio doesn't do shallow. When they love, they merge. It's not just emotional, it's psychic, it's cellular, it's soul deep. And when that connection turns poisonous, it poisons every corner of their being. But Scorpio doesn't let go easily. No, that's not in their nature. They fight, they wait, they try to fix. They burn themselves out, believing that the other person will finally rise with them instead of always dragging them down. And the longer they hold on, the more silent the universe becomes. Until one day something shifts. It's not the other person who changes, it's Scorpio. They wake up, not in the mind, but in the soul. And the fire that once burned for someone else now begins burning for themselves. This moment of release doesn't look like victory to others. It may happen alone in the dark, in silence. No audience, no applause, just Scorpio and the decision to let go. And that's when the universe shows up. Suddenly, synchronicities return. Scorpio sees repeating numbers, vivid dreams, a sense of calm after years of chaos. New people appear, people who respect them without draining them. New opportunities emerge, not because they were chasing them, but because they finally cleared the space. This is the first sacred moment. The universe sends Scorpio a gift, the return of their own power, but only after they've let go of the person who misused it. Letting go isn't weakness, it's an initiation. It's the act that says, I no longer choose survival over sacredness. It's not just the end of a toxic chapter, it's the beginning of Scorpio's rebirth. And with it comes the first reward: clarity, energy, protection. Not from someone else, but from the soul they almost forgot they had. Life lesson. Moment 1. Sometimes the greatest power you reclaim isn't from others, it's from the version of yourself that kept waiting for someone to change. Letting go is not about giving up, it's about remembering that no love is worth losing your soul for. Moment 2. The gift that arrives in the silence. When Scorpio stops explaining themselves. For most of their life, Scorpio tries to do the impossible to be understood. They explain their silences, they explain their intensity, They explain their instincts, their loyalty, their anger, their wounds, even their love. But the world doesn't listen the way Scorpio listens. It hears only the surface. And Scorpio, the deepest diver of the zodiac, keeps getting pulled back to the shallow end, forced to shrink to translate the untranslatable to make others feel comfortable with things they'll never comprehend. Until one day, they don't. Scorpio stops explaining, stops justifying why they see through people, stops softening their energy so others won't feel exposed, stops speaking just to be heard by those who are deaf to their depth. It's not arrogance, it's clarity, it's spiritual maturity. And that's when the universe shifts. Suddenly the noise fades, and in that sacred silence a new frequency emerges. Scorpio begins hearing something far more powerful than external approval, their inner voice. Their spiritual channel clears. Visions sharpen. Dreams become prophetic. A truth begins to rise from within, one they no longer need permission to follow. This is when the universe sends the second gift, the gift of pure intuition. Unfiltered, untamed, undiluted. Because now Scorpio is no longer giving their energy away to be understood. They are using it to understand the world on their own terms. And the people who once questioned them, they begin to sense something. That Scorpio isn't seeking validation anymore. They're receiving direction from a higher realm. And that scares people. Good. It should. Because silence isn't Scorpio's weakness. It's their gateway to power. Life lesson, moment 2. You don't owe the world an explanation for your depth. The more you explain your soul to the wrong people, the more you betray it. Let your silence speak your truth. Those meant to hear it will never need subtitles. Moment 3. The gift hidden inside a deep betrayal. For Scorpio, betrayal isn't just a broken promise. It's spiritual violence. Because when a Scorpio trusts you, they don't do it halfway. They give you access to their soul. They lower the psychic shields. They let you see the parts of them that no one else ever gets close to, not even family. So when betrayal happens, it doesn't just hurt, it shatters. And most people don't see it. They say, just get over it. But they don't realize Scorpio doesn't just lose a person. They lose the version of themselves that dared to believe in that person. What follows is dark. A collapse of inner structures, rage, numbness, then silence, then obsession with the question, why? But the universe never sends betrayal as punishment. It sends it as revelation. Because Scorpio doesn't see the truth until they're forced to, until someone shows them through cruelty the very limit of what they can take. And in the ruins, something begins to stir. Something ancient. Something sacred. A power. At first, it's just a whisper. Then it becomes a voice. Then it becomes a fire. Scorpio realizes they didn't die. They survived. And in that survival, they became something no betrayal can touch. That's when the universe sends the third gift, the gift of unshakable self-knowledge. Scorpio now knows who they are, not because someone validated them, but because someone tried to destroy them and failed. They stop asking, why did they do it? And start asking, why did I let them? The answer is painful, but liberating. Because Scorpio learns that their power was never in what they gave away, it was in what they refused to lose. And from that moment on, they carry something untouchable. Not armor, but sovereignty. Life lesson. Moment 3. Betrayal doesn't just show you who they are, it shows you who you're not anymore. The version of you that begged to be loved is gone. What's left is the version the universe always meant for you to become. Moment 4. The gift after choosing truth over control. Scorpio has a reputation for control, and it's not unearned. They don't control out of ego, they control out of survival. Because when you've been through hell, you don't just let life happen to you. You anticipate, you plan, you read between every line, sense every shift in energy, protect every emotional doorway. Control becomes a shield, a system, a way to make sure the past never repeats itself. But there comes a moment, rare, terrifying, sacred, when Scorpio is faced with a truth they cannot manipulate. A truth that doesn't bend, doesn't yield, doesn't care how clever they are. This truth might come through a confrontation, a sudden loss, a mirror held up by someone brave enough to reflect back the shadow Scorpio has refused to face. And in that moment, Scorpio has two choices: cling to control and lose themselves, or surrender to truth and be remade. When Scorpio chooses truth, everything collapses. The stories they've told themselves, the justifications, the illusion of being in charge. But right underneath that rubble, something gleams: authenticity. Not the curated power, not the mask of mystery, but the raw, honest self that doesn't need to control because it's finally aligned with what's real. And that's when the universe sends the fourth gift, the gift of liberation. When Scorpio stops trying to control how others see them, when they stop controlling outcomes, expectations, perceptions, they become magnetic. Because now they're not forcing, they're flowing. They're not manipulating the energy around them, they are the energy. People feel it, opportunities feel it, even the universe feels it, and it responds. Because the universe does not flow through control, it flows through truth, and now Scorpio does too. Life lesson, moment 4. Control may keep you safe, but truth sets you free. The moment you stop trying to manage everything is the moment you start receiving what was always meant for you. Not because you fought for it, but because you were finally open enough to hold it. Moment 5. The gift that emerges after facing the darkness alone. There are places within the Scorpio soul that no one has ever seen. Not because Scorpio is hiding, but because most people aren't equipped to go there. They want the passion, the loyalty, the power, but they don't want the darkness. They don't want the questions Scorpio lives with. They don't want to sit in the silence Scorpio must master. They don't want to feel the weight Scorpio carries lifetimes deep. So when Scorpio descends into grief, into shadow, into silence, they go alone. There is no hand to hold, no one who understands the language spoken in that underworld, only echoes, only memories, only silence that sometimes feels like it will swallow them whole. This descent isn't pretty, it's not Instagrammable. It doesn't end in a quick healing journey. It ends with nothing. Until something begins to breathe. It's small, faint, a spark. Not from the outside, but from within. It's not a friend calling. It's not a partner showing up. It's not even words. It's a presence. Scorpio meets themselves. Not the identity they show the world. Not the survivor. Not the one who always knows the answer. But the core, the ancient part, the indestructible spirit that has been here before the wounds, before the names, before the pain. And in that sacred reunion, the universe arrives, not with thunder, but with awe. This is the fifth gift, the gift of spiritual sovereignty. Now, Scorpio doesn't fear the dark anymore. Because they have learned the light doesn't come to rescue them, the light is something they ignite from inside. They don't need saving. They've become their own sanctuary. Life lesson, moment 5. You'll never truly know your light until you've sat with your darkness and didn't run. The most powerful version of you isn't found in crowds. It's found in the cave no one else dares to enter but you do. Moment 6. The gift that arrives when Scorpio steps into their true purpose. There's a secret about Scorpio that even most Scorpios don't realize. You weren't meant to just survive life. You were meant to transform it from the inside out. But for much of your life, your power is dormant, misunderstood. You feel like you're too much, too intense, too emotional, too psychic, too suspicious, too different. So you bury your instincts. You tone yourself down. You try to play roles that don't fit just to feel safe. But the universe won't let you stay small. So it shakes you. It strips away the fake friendships. It burns down the illusions. It closes every door that's not aligned with your soul's mission. And then it waits. Not for you to be ready, but for you to say, I won't apologize for who I am anymore. That's when Scorpio steps into something bigger. Not a job, not a relationship, not a dream, but a calling. Suddenly, Scorpio is no longer trying to fit in. They're building what never existed before. They begin speaking with authority. They lead, they guide. They heal others simply by being themselves, raw, honest, intuitive, unshakable. This is when the universe delivers the final gift, the gift of divine alignment. Everything clicks. Not because life becomes easy, but because Scorpio becomes unstoppable. The right people arrive, the resources flow, the path lights up because they are finally walking it with truth, not fear. And the world starts to listen. Because when a Scorpio lives in their purpose, the world can't ignore them anymore. They were never here to be liked. They were here to lead revolutions of the soul. Life lesson, moment 6. Your power isn't random. Your pain wasn't punishment. It was preparation for a purpose only you can fulfill. And when you finally stop shrinking into survival, the universe gives you what it's held in its hands all along, everything you were born to become. So now you've seen it, the 6 moments when the universe reaches its hand towards Scorpio, but only if Scorpio has done the unthinkable, shed the old self, burned the mask, walked through the fire without flinching. And maybe as you listened, you saw your own journey reflected back at you. Maybe you've already let go of someone you thought you'd love forever. Maybe you've stopped explaining your depth to shallow ears. Maybe you've tasted betrayal and made peace with silence. Or maybe you're still in the fire waiting for the gift to come. Wherever you are, know this. The universe doesn't forget Scorpio. It tests them, it shapes them, and when the soul is ready, it delivers. But the gift isn't always what you expect. Sometimes it looks like a new path, sometimes it's the return of your own voice, and sometimes it's simply this knowing. Nothing can take from me what is meant for me, because I have already faced the dark, and I did not lose myself. You are not just a sign, you are a mirror of transformation. You are the one the universe trusts with the truth because you're not afraid to bleed for it. So now I ask you, which of these moments have you already lived, and which one is still waiting for you? Leave a comment below and tell me, what gift has the universe been holding, waiting for you to be ready? And if this message stirred something in your soul, if it reminded you of your power, then don't walk this path alone. Subscribe now to the Path to Buddha Wisdom, because Scorpio isn't just a journey, it's a lifetime initiation. And here, we walk it together.